Hey there, and welcome. Sometimes English grammar can feel like you're trying to solve a really tricky puzzle, right? Well, today we are going to put the pieces together. We're going to zero in on those super common mistakes that can trip you up, and I promise, by the end of this, you'll have a much clearer path to sounding fluent. So let's just dive right in.
So, does talking about yesterday sometimes feel way more complicated than it should be? I mean, if you've ever felt a little stuck on words like was, were, or did, you are so not alone. It's an incredibly common challenge. But you know what? Today, we're going to make it really, really simple.
All right, here's our game plan. First, we're going to tackle that classic was versus were confusion. Then, we'll solve the past tense puzzle with one golden rule. After that, we are cracking the code on articles. We're going to build some better sentences, and we'll wrap it all up with a clear action plan to get you on the path to fluency. Let's get started.
Okay, first up, the past tense of the verb to be. Now, this is one of those spots where a tiny little mistake can sneak in. But trust me, the fix is incredibly simple once you actually see it.
Just take a look at this. Where was you yesterday? I mean, it kind of feels logical, doesn't it? You can mean just one person. But nope, in English, it's always incorrect. The right way is always, where were you yesterday? So let's figure out why.
So here's the deal, and this is the main thing to remember. The pronoun you is just special. It seriously doesn't matter if you're talking to one person or 100 people. In the past tense, you always, and I mean always, pairs with were. Just burn that rule into your brain. You were.
You ever wonder why that rule even exists? It's actually a pretty cool little history lesson. See, hundreds of years ago in Old English, they had a word thou when they were talking to just one person. You was for groups or for being polite. But over time, thou just sort of vanished, and you took over for everybody. And here's the cool part. You kept its original plural grammar. So that's the secret history behind why we always say you were. Kind of neat, right?
All right, let's move on to our next big puzzle. For pretty much every other verb in the past tense, there is one simple, super powerful rule that's going to solve so many problems, especially when you're asking questions or saying something negative.
Here's another classic mistake. I see this one all the time. I didn't went to the party. It feels right, because went is the past of go. But here's the thing, this is what we call a double past tense, and it's a big no-no. You see, the helper verb didn't is already doing all the heavy lifting for the past tense.
And that, right there, leads us to our golden rule. Seriously, memorize this. Anytime you use the words did or didn't, the main verb that comes after it snaps right back to its original simple base form. So it's not went, it's go. Not saw, but see. Not had, but have. It's a game changer.
So you might be asking, well, when do I get to use went or saw or worked? And the answer is simple, only in positive sentences that don't have did or didn't. So you can say, I went to the party. Perfect. But the second it's negative, I didn't go, or a question, did you go, we snap right back to that base form.
All right, let's talk about three tiny little words that can cause some major headaches. A, an, and the. Honestly, even advanced learners can get tripped up by these, but the basic rules are actually pretty straightforward.
Let's look at this example. In that first sentence, we say a new car because it's the first time we're mentioning it, right? It could be any new car in the world. But in the second sentence, we're not talking about just any car anymore. We're talking about that specific new car we just mentioned. And that's why we have to switch to the car.
So let's break this down really simply. You use a or an for one general, non-specific thing, like I saw a dog. It could be any dog. But then you switch to the when we're talking about a specific thing that we both now know about. The dog was big. We mean the one I just told you about. And finally, we use no article at all when we're talking about things in general, like I like dogs. Not one dog, but all dogs as a concept.
Awesome! So now that we have the right words, let's make sure we're putting them in the right order. I'm telling you, getting the word order right is one of the biggest keys to sounding clear and just natural when you speak English.
Check this out. This is the standard, most common sentence formula in English. Subject, verb, object, place, and time. SVOPT. Let's build one. I, subject, saw, verb, my friend, object, at the cinema, place, yesterday, time. If you can follow this basic formula, your sentences will instantly sound so much more fluent.
Now, here's something interesting. Saying, yesterday I was at home isn't technically wrong. You'll be understood, but it is much, much more common for native speakers to put that time expression at the very end of the sentence. It just flows better. It sounds more natural. So try to aim for, I was at home yesterday.
And hey, a quick word on prepositions for places. These can be so tricky, I know, but here are a few super common fixes to remember. You are at a party. You work at a hospital. And you are on the beach. They're just little words, but they make a huge difference.
Okay, we have covered a lot of rules. But let's be honest, rules are pretty useless without practice. So let's shift gears now and talk about how you can take all this information and turn it into real, confident English skill.
Here's a simple but really powerful plan. First, just read for 10 minutes a day. That's it. Next, speak, even if it's just to yourself. Don't worry about mistakes. Then, try to write 5 sentences using the grammar we talked about today. Make sure you're listening to English too. And finally, and this one is a total game changer, try to think in English patterns instead of translating every single word from your own language.
And I really want you to hear this because it's maybe the most important message of all. Be patient with yourself. Learning a language is a marathon. It's not a sprint. Every single step you take, every little bit of practice is progress. You're doing great. Just keep at it.
So, let's do a lightning-fast review of the big ideas. Number 1. You always takes were. Always. 2. After did or didn't, use the base form of the verb. 3. The for specific things, a or an for general ones. And 4. For the most natural flow, try to put the time at the end of the sentence. Got it? Awesome.
And that's a wrap. The knowledge is officially yours now. So my final question for you is this. What's the very first thing you're going to practice? Maybe you'll write a sentence using didn't go. Or maybe you'll tell a friend, hey, you were great today. Whatever it is, start right now. Thanks for diving into this with me.